The scent of burnt sugar still catches me off guard sometimes, a fleeting phantom smell that brings back a wave of unexpected nausea. It's tied to a memory, a moment when the floor shifted beneath my feet, long before I learned to build my own solid ground. I was maybe 7, standing in the kitchen, watching my mother, Vivian, pour sticky caramel sauce over a cake she was making. Logan, my younger brother, then just a toddler, was strapped into his high chair, banging a spoon and giggling. Mom was humming, smiling at him. I asked if I could help stir, and she just nodded. I still fixed on Logan. The caramel boiled over, hissing onto the stove. She cried out, not in pain, but annoyance, rushing to clean it up, sighing dramatically. "Look what you made me do, Riley," she said, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the mess, then back at Logan, who started fussing. It was a tiny thing, that moment, but it was one of the first times I felt it, the subtle tilt, the scale that always seemed to weigh more heavily on his side. Growing up, Logan was a gravitational pull, and the rest of us, especially me, were just satellites in his orbit. He was younger, perceived as more sensitive, or perhaps just louder in his needs. I learned early to be quiet, to entertain myself, to figure things out alone. While Vivian fussed over Logan's scraped knees, I was bandaging my own. While she read him bedtime stories with elaborate voices, I was already reading chapter books by the light of my desk lamp. It wasn't deliberate cruelty, not at first, just absorption. She was absorbed in him. There was one thing that felt like mine, though. After my grandmother passed away, her small cottage was sold. Vivian announced that a portion of the proceeds, a significant sum, would be put into a special account. She called it the Future Generations Fund. She showed me the bank statement once, pointing to the balance. "This," she said, "is going to help you get through law school, Riley. It's for your future." Law school felt impossibly far away then, a grand, abstract dream I'd just started whispering about. But the fund, the promise, made it feel real. It was a tangible sign that my hard work, my ambition, was seen and supported. It felt like the one corner of my life that was just for me, a future built on my own aspirations. My Aunt Carol, Vivian's older sister, was the only one who seemed to truly see me. She lived a couple of hours away but visited occasionally. She wasn't effusive, but her attention was undivided when she gave it. While Vivian talked about Logan's latest adorable antic or minor ailment, Aunt Carol would ask me about the book I was reading or the project I was working on in school. "You've got a good head on your shoulders, Riley," she'd say quietly, her eyes holding a knowing kindness. She represented a different kind of family, one that valued quiet strength over demanding attention. High school was when the scale tipped undeniably. While I was juggling advanced classes, debate club, and working weekends at the local diner to save money for college applications and test fees, Logan was just being Logan. He drifted through school, bounced from one fleeting interest to another, and seemed perpetually short on cash, usually due to impulsive buys or minor mishaps. Vivian was constantly covering for him. The Future Generations Fund started feeling less like a promise and more like a phantom. I'd hear Vivian on the phone, talking about needing to dip into that account for Logan's car repair after he rear-ended someone, or to pay off a credit card he'd maxed out on video games and clothes. Each time, a knot would tighten in my stomach. "But Mom," I'd ask, trying to keep my voice even, "isn't that money for?" "Oh, Riley, he needs it now," she'd interrupt, her tone exasperated. "You're so capable, you'll figure out how to pay for law school. Logan needs my help right now." The message was crystal clear. My future, my hard-earned dream, was less important than Logan's immediate, self-inflicted problems. The betrayal wasn't just about the money. It was about the erasure of the promise, the dismissal of my efforts. It fueled a fire within me, a fierce determination to prove her wrong, not just to her, but to myself. I worked harder, saved every dollar, applied for every scholarship imaginable. Aunt Carol sent me a check for $500 for college books one year, with a note that simply said, "Invest in yourself, Riley." It was more meaningful than any grand, broken promise. College was a blur of classes, work shifts, and caffeine. I went to a state school, not the prestigious out-of-state university I'd once dreamed of attending with the help of the law school fund. There was no fund. There was only my paycheck and my student loans. I lived on ramen and peanut butter sandwiches, wore hand-me-downs, and learned to fix things myself because I couldn't afford to pay someone else. I saw classmates traveling, enjoying carefree weekends, while I was calculating every expense, every hour. Meanwhile, Vivian's calls continued, a constant stream of updates on Logan's latest predicaments. He couldn't hold down a job because his boss didn't understand him. He needed money for rent, for food, for his car, for new gadgets. Vivian always sounded tired, but never angry at him. The anger was often directed elsewhere, at his demanding landlords, at the unfair job market, or subtly at me for not understanding how difficult Logan's life was. "He's just sensitive, Riley," she'd sigh into the phone. "It's harder for him." After college, I landed a job at a financial consulting firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. I put every spare dollar into savings, determined to build the financial security I'd been denied. My colleague, Thomas, a steady, kind presence in the office, sometimes noticed my stress. He didn't pry, but occasionally he'd say something simple like, "Looks like a tough week, Riley. You handled it well," or offer a word of professional advice that hinted he saw potential in me. It was a small thing, but it was a reminder that in the world outside my family, effort and capability were recognized. As I built my career, Vivian's financial situation became increasingly dire. Logan wasn't just living at home. He'd brought his girlfriend, Piper, with him. Vivian's calls shifted from updates on Logan's struggles to her own desperation. The mortgage was behind. The electricity was about to be shut off. The house was falling apart because there was no money for repairs. "They just need so much, Riley," she'd say, that they clearly meaning Logan and Piper. I felt a familiar knot of resentment. My promised future had been sacrificed for their needs, and now I was supposed to fix the mess that sacrifice had enabled? Then came the call, direct and blunt. "Riley, I need you to start sending me $1,500 a month. No preamble, no apology for the past, just the demand." My breath caught. $1,500. That was more than half my monthly savings goal. That was the difference between making real progress on my own goals and just treading water. I didn't answer right away. I spent sleepless nights, staring at the ceiling, the familiar guilt warring with a fresh wave of anger. Was this my responsibility? To subsidize the lives of the people who had disregarded me for years? To pour my hard-earned money into a black hole created by their choices and my mother's enabling? But the guilt, the ingrained sense of obligation, was a powerful current. A small, hopeful voice whispered that maybe this was a chance, that if I helped, maybe things would change. Maybe I'd finally be seen as a true part of the family. Against my better judgment, against every logical bone in my body, I agreed. "Just temporarily, Mom," I said, the words feeling like ash in my mouth. I set up the recurring transfer. Every month, $1,500 vanished from my account. My carefully constructed budget collapsed. Date nights were out, new clothes were out, even small luxuries like ordering takeout felt irresponsible. I went back to eating ramen and stretching groceries. The stress was immense, the resentment a constant, low hum beneath the surface of my life. A couple of months in, I decided to visit. I wanted to see the situation for myself, maybe have a frank conversation. I drove the familiar route, a sense of dread mixing with faint hope. I didn't announce the exact time. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked worse than I'd imagined, peeling paint, overgrown yard. I walked up to the front door and knocked. The person who opened it wasn't my mother. It was a young woman with bright pink streaks in her hair, wearing leggings and an oversized t-shirt. Her nails were long, painted a garish yellow. She chewed gum loudly, looking at me with bored curiosity. "Yeah," she asked, not opening the door fully. "Hi, is Vivian home?" I asked, feeling wrong-footed. "I'm Riley." Her eyes widened slightly. "Oh, you're Riley. Logan's mom told me about you." She opened the door wider, stepping back but not offering a warm welcome. "Come in, I guess. Vivian's in the kitchen. I'm Piper, by the way. I live here. I live here." The words hung in the air. The inside of the house was chaos. Pizza boxes and soda cans littered the living room. There was a large, brand-new flat-screen TV on the wall that definitely hadn't been there before, next to a gaming console with flashing lights. Piper plopped onto the sofa, propping her feet up on the coffee table amongst the trash, and picked up a remote. "Vivian," she yelled towards the kitchen. My mother came out, looking thinner than I remembered, her eyes tired. But she lit up for a second when she saw me. "Riley." "Oh, honey, you're here." Then her eyes flicked to my hands, empty. "Oh, you didn't bring anything." "I brought myself, Mom," I said, the warmth draining away. My gaze swept the room, the new TV, the general air of neglect mixed with signs of frivolous spending. "Mom, what's all this?" Vivian waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, just making things comfortable. Logan and Piper spend a lot of time here." She smiled fondly at Piper, who was now scrolling through channels. "Piper's such a help with Logan. They're very serious. Like, practically married." I stared at Piper, then back at my mother. "Mom, I'm sending you $1,500 a month. I can barely afford new things. How can this be here?" I gestured vaguely at the TV and console. Vivian's face hardened instantly. "Don't start, Riley. You have a good job. You're doing fine. Logan needs things. He deserves to be comfortable. Piper helps him. It's not fair for you to judge." "Judge?" I repeated, my voice rising. "I'm skipping meals to send you money, and you're buying a new TV? Money that was supposed to help me get through law school is now paying for?" I stopped myself, the old anger burning. "Where is Logan?" "In his room," Piper chimed in, not looking up from the TV. "He's working on something important. A new game strategy." My blood ran cold. He wasn't looking for a job. He wasn't contributing. He was in his room, playing games, while I funded their life. And Piper, this complete stranger, was living here, benefiting from my sacrifices. The next morning, I woke up on the lumpy guest bed, feeling a suffocating dread. I needed to leave. I needed answers. I walked into the kitchen where Vivian and Piper were drinking coffee, Logan still nowhere to be seen. "Mom," I started, my voice trembling slightly. "We need to talk about this money. I can't keep doing this if it's just enabling." Piper snorted, rolling her eyes. "Enabling? We need that money, Anna. Vivian needs it. It's the least you can do, considering." "Considering what?" I asked, turning to face her fully. Piper smirked. "Considering Logan gets everything anyway. It's all his." She gestured towards a stack of mail on the counter. "Vivian signed everything over last year. The house, the accounts, everything important. It's all in Logan's name now. You got, that old box of junk in the garage, probably." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" I looked at Vivian, whose eyes darted away. Piper picked up a thick envelope from the stack, waving a folded paper. "This," she said, her tone dripping with smugness, "is the will. Legally, it's all Logan's." Vivian made sure of it. My hands shook as I snatched the paper from her. My eyes scanned the legal jargon, landing on the crucial lines. "I, Vivian Marie Harper, being of sound mind, do hereby give, devise, and bequeath all of my property, real and personal, to my son Logan Matthew Harper." My name wasn't there. Not a single mention. No acknowledgement of my existence, my struggles, or the money I was currently sending. I looked up at Vivian, tears blurring my vision. "Mom, is this real? You left everything to Logan?" Nothing for me." My voice broke on the last word. Vivian finally looked at me, her expression hardening into something cold and defensive. "Don't act so dramatic, Riley. You're fine. You have your career. You always land on your feet. Logan needs this security. He needs protection." "Protection?" I choked out, the years of hurt boiling over. "Protection from what? From having to try? From taking responsibility? What about my protection? Who protected me when I was sick and you didn't notice? Who protected me when I was working 3 jobs to pay for school while the money you promised me was used for his toys? Who protected me from feeling like I didn't matter?" Vivian stood taller, her voice sharp and final. "You want the truth, Riley? Fine. You were always easy. You didn't need me. You were strong. Logan wasn't. He needed my focus, my energy, My love in a way you never did. Love isn't always equal, Riley. And I don't owe you equal shares of anything. The words were a physical blow, stealing the air from my lungs. I never loved you the way I love Logan. It wasn't just indifference. It was an active choice. All those years, all the excuses I'd made for her, trying to understand, they shattered in that instant. There was no misunderstanding. There was just a truth I hadn't allowed myself to see. I don't remember much about leaving. Just the cold air hitting my face as I walked out the front door, the sound of Piper's sharp laugh from inside, and the deafening silence in my own car as I drove away. That night, back in my quiet, small apartment, I opened my banking app. My finger hovered over the recurring transfer to Vivian's account. $1,500. Money I had sacrificed for, sent out of misplaced duty and a flicker of desperate hope. Hope that was now extinguished. With zero hesitation, zero regret, I hit cancel recurring payment. A deep breath I hadn't realized I was holding finally escaped my lungs. It felt like severing a physical cord, a lifeline that had been slowly strangling me. The peace lasted less than 12 hours. My phone started buzzing incessantly. Missed calls from Vivian. Then texts. Vivian, Riley, the money didn't come through. There must be a mistake. I need it today. Vivian, call me back. This isn't funny. Vivian, you stopped the payment? How could you? After everything I've done for you. I ignored them. The floodgates opened. Texts from Logan appeared. Logan? Seriously, Riley? Cutting us off? Mom is freaking out. You're such a B***********. Logan, this is messed up. We need that money. Don't ruin everything. Then, messages from Piper on social media. Piper, wow, heard what you did. Pretty pathetic. Trying to punish your own mother? Tommy, she actually used that stupid nickname, is so stressed because of you. Get a life and be a decent human. They tried every platform. Emails flooded my inbox, ranging from desperate pleas, we might lose the house, to venomous accusations, you're abandoning us, to manipulative guilt-tripping, I gave you everything and this is how you repay me. They even attached photos, blurry pictures of utility bills, a screenshot of a bank account balance that looked suspiciously low, and one photo of Logan sitting in front of his new TV with a hand dramatically pressed to his forehead. It was pathetic, infuriating, and strangely empowering. I didn't respond to any of it. I blocked Vivian's number, Logan's number, Piper on every social media platform I could find. I set up email filters. The initial barrage was intense, a storm of digital abuse, but it eventually died down when they realized I wasn't engaging. The first month without the $1,500 deduction felt surreal. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the breathing room, the lifting of a heavy weight. I started rebuilding my savings. I put the money towards my own goals, paying down my student loans faster, increasing my retirement contributions, starting a fund for a down payment on my own small apartment. I focused on my work, on my friendships. Aunt Carol called. I told her everything, the whole ugly truth about the will, the demand, the final confrontation. There was a long silence. Then she said, "Oh, Riley, I always worried something like this would happen. But you did the right thing. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, especially when they threw the match." Her validation meant the world. Thomas, at work, noticed I seemed less stressed, more focused. "You seem lighter, Riley," he commented one day. I just smiled. I didn't dwell on Vivian, Logan, or Piper. They became like characters in a book I had finished reading. Later, I heard from Aunt Carol, who still had peripheral contact with some family members, that Vivian had indeed lost the house and was struggling immensely, still trying to manage Logan and Piper, who were now causing problems for other relatives. It was sad in a distant way, but it no longer felt like my problem. The scar of their betrayal remains, a reminder of where I came from. But it's also a reminder of what I overcame. I built my own life, brick by brick, dollar by dollar, not on broken promises or unearned entitlement, but on my own strength and resilience. I am not just surviving, I am thriving, finally unburdened, charting my own course on solid ground that I built entirely for myself.